Hello, hello. This is Sarge welcoming you to a new series. No, not really a series, just kind of a little one-off. This is the first 15 of Lunar Legend over on the Game Boy Advance. Now I've played this game and I've talked to a couple people about it, and I really just wanted to highlight a whole lot of the differences that exist between this version of Lunar, which is essentially the first Lunar game, Silver Star Story. And I really wanted to highlight some of the differences between this one and the Sega CD version and the PlayStation version, the PSP version, and everything, and just show off some of the differences. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, right off the bat, you see, the intro is completely different. Alex is just standing around trying to pull the sword out of the Dragon Master Dine thing, and it's a little bit more comedic. Um, the style is different too, artistically, but it kind of has to be for the Game Boy Advance. And you see they use stills from the I believe this is from the PlayStation version. They used some stills from that version, and they inserted them at certain points and everything. But the first thing that strikes me immediately is how different it is. There's no real development of the character. Um, there's nobody telling you what the motivation is here. You just kind of show up and get going. I mean, I guess that's a good way to go about things, but right out the gate, you know, it's a completely alien experience from what you're used to with the first time you played this game. For those of you that have played it, the first time around, Alex is kind of daydreaming, and he ends up being late for practice for an upcoming festival. In this version, um, Nash is already here. He just shows up. Nash shows up in the middle of town. And he just shows up in the middle of town. He goes on about this speech. Now he's here to become the next Dragon Master and all that. And we haven't met Quark yet. We haven't gone off on our own adventure, Alex and Ramus, to go and prove to their men or whatever. The whole purpose for leaving in the first place is to go prove that they've grown up and go on their own little adventure. They ain't do none of that. You get right into it, and they just mixed everything together and jumbled it up. And basically, when you end up leaving town, you jump forward and you go straight to the weird woods. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And you see they changed some names of the items too. You got mental gum and healing gum instead of herbs and I forget what the MP item is called. They did keep the singing in, so that's a good thing. But that's you don't expect to hear it too often. I mean, there's a couple of times in cutscenes when you hear it, Luna be singing or whatever, but for the most part, it's really just a completely different animal than what you're used to. So here's another cutscene with Luna. But by this point, we've already got Ramus in the party. We just found Luna. We're not gonna go do the we're men, let's go explore and get a diamond mission that Ramus wanted to do. Instead, we're just gonna go escort Nash through the weird woods to find Quark. It kills a whole chunk of development early in the game. You don't get to experience it. You understand what I'm saying? It's kind of ridiculous too. They've also changed some of the layout of the town. The town is different. Berg is totally different. There's a couple of events missing too. For instance, you can't find the guy that Ramus ripped off. He doesn't exist. I'm pretty sure there's no bromides in this game. I don't know. I didn't play it far enough to figure it out. There's the layout is totally different. Like I say, you don't do that quest, that little mini quest for Ramus with the guy that he ripped off for the bromide, which leads me to believe there's no bromides in the game. And immediately, you see, Nash just shows up insulting everybody. There's just no premise. There's no Like there's no build up to this. It just is, you know, and it's quick. It's I guess it's supposed to be a condensed version of the story, but it doesn't feel condensed. It feels more like they just gutted the story and just it's like it's the highlights. It's Lunar, the highlight version. You understand? As opposed to a decent story. I don't know. So yeah, we've met Nash. We've got Ramus, Alex, and Luna all together now. So that's it. That's our party. Immediately. And it's been 5 minutes into the game. We got a full party of people, and we're ready to rock. You know, it's I don't know. It just feels very unfulfilling to me. It feels very gutted, and I just don't like it. Here they mentioned a diamond in passing. You know, Ramus is like, "Hey, we might get a diamond. Let's go." So it kind of try to throw it back to the original, but it feels tacked on and silly. You know, it doesn't. It feels like lip service, I guess, is what I'm looking for. Anyway, let's go and explore a little bit. Let's see if we can get some more stuff out of it. Okay, what's the deal? So this is Ramus's house. I imagine we got to find the map. I'm pretty sure I can figure out where it is. It's with the little arrow thing pointing down to it, right? Is that it? Is that where we need to go? I don't know. Let me look around some more. Come on, man. Come on. This is there's hand holding it, and then there's, carrying. You know what I mean? Ramus, you better straighten up. Another thing that bothers me is the dialogue. You know, in the original, there's multiple dialogue. You know what I'm saying? When you first meet somebody, you talk to them 2 and 3 times. They got different things to say, and there's some interactivity. In this one, everybody says the same thing. They repeat it over and over again, and that's it. It looks pretty for a Game Boy Advance game. I mean, it's nice looking, but it, I don't know. I mean, I get it. There's only so much you can do on a cart that size. There's only so much information you can fill. I get it. So you got to cut some things out, but it just seems like they, at the expense of a decent story, they just they prettied up the graphics some, but they cut out a decent story. There's really no motivation. I mean, the motivation that's presented it feels shallow, especially when held up against the original. And I don't know if that's a fair way to judge it, but it is what it is. When you do something like this, you're reaching for a certain audience, an audience that's slightly familiar with your product, and that they're going to buy it based on name recognition. So when you re-release something like this, you're expecting the people who enjoyed the original to flock to it. In this case, it feels like a flop. you know so let's look around Berg some more. Like I said, it's a different layout. you know I don't know. Let's take a look at the shop system. Let's see how things are different here. All right, now the first thing that I noticed was that instead of individual inventories, there's just one mass inventory. So you don't have the versatility that you did in the original. Also, it doesn't seem like you can buy in bulk. You can only buy one at a time, which is kind of annoying. As you see here, I got to go through everything and buy one at a time for everybody before I can really do it. You don't get any complimentary items like that fire ring that you get in the original. No, you don't get it. Luna doesn't have a weapon. You got to buy her a frying pan, which just feels ridiculous. Why would Luna be using a frying pan? Wasn't she using a sling? Didn't she use a sling before? Why all of a sudden is she using a frying pan? Anyway, and right here, this really illustrates that you can't buy things in bulk. You just cannot do it. There's no way to do it. I can't press right or left and get more than one of a thing. I can only get one at a time. And it's kind of bothersome, and it makes buying things, especially curative items, a hassle. You know, this is my common strategy. I do this in every game. I sell all the useless stuff for the stuff that I won't be using for a long time, and I get it, 4 or 5 of each item I can, as much as I can of each curative item, and then I don't worry about it for the rest of the game. That's just how I play. I do that in every RPG I play. Anyway, let's go ahead and leave. Oh wait, we can't leave without Nash. Come on. All right. First, let's take a look at the menu. You see, it's very close to the original. It's similar. It's a little bit more simplified. Obviously, you're gonna have to. Let's go ahead and change the formation around. Let's put Luna in the back where she belongs, right here, and we'll move Ramus up front, or Ramu apparently is his name. I'm not gonna worry about tactics. But yeah, there's no individual inventory. There's only the one big inventory. See, like, you can't give somebody something. They all have access to it in battle. Everybody has access to everything. So I don't know. I'm just gonna mess around, see if there's anything else worth seeing. Oh yeah, let's take a look at the skills. No, that's not what I wanted. I'm sorry, I'm a little jumpy. We'll look at the skills in a minute. Okay, let's head on over to the Weird Woods immediately. As soon as the game starts, you're just right in the Weird Woods, which is fine. Now, another thing that I want to point out is you don't see enemies on the screen. You got invisible enemy syndrome, which to me is not very. I don't like that. One of the main draws for the original for me is the ability to see your enemies on the screen and be able to avoid fights that you don't want to get into. This one suffers from standard JRPG invisible enemy syndrome. You just get into fights and there's nothing you can do about it. You don't see anybody coming. There's monsters. They're there. You fight them. That's it. So I don't like that. I like being able to control when I fight, how often I fight, what I fight. In this one, it just boom, here's a fight. So let's take a look at some of the skills. Let's go ahead and take a look at the sword dance, or sword dance as it's called in this one. We're not going to use heal song. There's no reason for it. Let's just go ahead and attack. Another thing I wanted you to notice right away is Riot. Riot only hits a line or a row. A row. I'm pretty sure it used to hit like an area. Now it's just a straight line. You know what I mean? Which is a little ridiculous. Sword dance looks okay, but it eats up 6 MP. Meaning Alex can only do sword dance one time. So I guess that kind of makes MP restoring a little bit more important in this version of the game. I don't know. Maybe the mental gum is easier to get a hold of. Maybe it's easier to get a hold of MP restoring items in this version than it is in the original. I don't know. And let's just finish this fight off and be done with it. And that's it. I just wanted to show off everything, the battle system, the menu, and everything else. Death cap card received. What does that mean? Let me see. Let me find this card. No. Okay. Nobody's carrying it. Alright. Now that's equip. Status display. That ain't it. Battle settings. No, it's not under skill or anything crazy like that. Maybe it's an equip. No. Okay. Alright, so it's not an accessory. It's not an equip. It's a card? Where is it? Oh, well that's cool. They show you what the next skill you're going to learn is, just not when or how much it costs. Well, what happened to that card? Where'd the card go? Alright, okay. I'm done. I guess, there's no point in looking for it. Let's just get on out of here. Anyway, that's it. That's been the first 15 of Lunar Legend for the Game Boy Advance. I just wanted to spread a little bit of the misery with y'all. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did.